The Blue Jays are pushing hard for the postseason right now, but as much as we're focused on October, the reality is that not everybody who's on the team right now is going to be here next year. Every offseason, we see players walk, trades get made, and tough decisions that completely reshape the roster. And today, we're going to be looking ahead and talking about 5 individuals who are on the team right now today that I don't think are going to be back with the squad in 2026. Some of these names might be obvious, but make sure you stick around until the end because there are a few that are definitely going to be causing some debate. All right, folks, let's get into it. So the first guy that we're going to talk about here is Chris Bassitt, the Hound on the mound. Guy's got a 4.1 ERA this season, pitched 156 innings, and has a whip of just over 1.3. And I think that we're at that point right now where we can kind of take a moment, look back at that Chris Bassitt contract from a couple years ago when they signed him and nod our heads and say to ourselves, yeah, that was a good signing. 3 years in Toronto. I mean, the guy has just been eating up innings, truly a workhorse there. 200 innings back in 2023. Dude finished as the Cy Young 10. Like, that is nothing to scoff at. And then even though the years following that, his ERA got over 4, and he wasn't that same guy from New York or from Oakland, still a very serviceable pitcher who was out there every day, never really got hurt, and was giving us a chance to win ball games. Now, the reason, though, that I don't really see the Toronto Blue Jays bringing him back, because he is on the final year of his contract right here, will be a free agent. Couple reasons. One, 37 years old. Guy is getting up there in age. And when you look at that Blue Jays rotation as a whole, right, when we take a look at this depth chart, I mean, who's going to be there next year? Gausman for sure. Jose Barrios for sure. They're hoping Shane Bieber. I think that they would prioritize bringing Shane Bieber back over somebody like a Chris Bassitt. Then you're thinking about guys that they flirted with having a starting job. Louis Varland, Yariel Rodriguez. These are both individuals who Ross Atkins has come out, John Schneider has come out and said, hey, maybe one day, maybe we can make that happen. And then on top of all of that, you got Trey Savage in the mix and Alek Manoah. So there's just so many other individuals right now who I think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to prioritize giving an opportunity to, giving a rotational spot to. Certainly Trey Savage, definitely. And I think that they still want to see if Alek Manoah can do anything. And then on top of all of that, you got to factor in, do they want to pay the money for somebody like a Chris Bassitt? Spotrac is projecting that he will make roughly $15 million a year. Honestly, I think it's going to be a little bit more than that. I think I found, like, during, looking at free agency and everything like that, my time anyways, Spotrac's prediction, their market value, usually they're on the more conservative side of things. Recently, with all these bidding wars and everybody wants starting pitching, I think that his contract is going to be a little bit more than that. So realistically, 37-year-old Chris Bassitt, you had a great time, great tenure with the Toronto Blue Jays. I was very happy for him to be here, and I think that he has done awesome with the deal that we had him on, but I do not see him returning with Toronto in 2026. Next guy that we're going to talk about is Max Scherzer. Signed the 1-year deal in the offseason, and I've been really happy with it. I know that he didn't pitch maybe as much as people would have wanted him to, but 70 innings for a 41-year-old, that is nothing to scoff at, and recently they've been really good. He's getting better as the season goes on. As it stands today, I look at Max Scherzer and I think that he's going to play a pivotal role for the Jays in the postseason should they end up going on a deep run. Like, this is going to be a guy who's starting probably game 3 for you in the playoffs as it stands today. However, all that being said, I think for a lot of the reasons that we were just talking about with Chris Bassitt, you can say the same thing about Max Scherzer. He is not getting any younger. There is definitely some injury concerns. And then you got to ask yourself, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, do we want to give another 10, maybe $15 million? Spotrac's projecting 10 right now, but I could see it going back up to, 14, 15 million. Do we want to give that to a guy who is 41, who is going to own one of those rotational spots, taking a job away from some of the other guys that we talked about when we were discussing Chris Bassitt, and also factoring in that, well, he could get injured at any moment in time, and age is certainly a factor there as well. On top of all of this, there is the umbrella. Max Scherzer might just decide to hang him up, folks. I mean, he has done effectively everything there is to do in this game. Won Cy Youngs, won World Series, done all of it. So this could actually be it for Max Scherzer, and I don't think that anybody would look twice. I'm also not the only one that feels this way. Keegan Matheson came out and was talking about this, discussing the possibility of Max Scherzer potentially returning to the Jays. He said, give me 30%. Give me a 1/3-ish odds, because at this point in Max Scherzer's career, I would ask you guys, what's changed since last year? And for me, I'm kind of right there with Keegan. I mean, there is still a sliver of a chance that the Blue Jays bring back Max Scherzer, but more times than not, I think that this is going to be it with the Toronto Blue Jays. Third individual who I do not see returning to Toronto is Isiah Kiner-Falefa. And I'll be honest, we don't need to spend too much time talking about this. IKF just got picked up by the Jays, like literally, what was it, a week ago, a couple days ago? Not that long ago at all. When we're looking over at the roster, I mean, they just have so many guys who are kind of doing the same thing, and we don't even have Anthony Santander on the team, who is definitely going to be earning himself a roster spot, or deserving of one anyways. Like, you look at all of these names, IKF and David Schneider, Miles Straw, and I don't know, it just feels like when I'm thinking about individuals who are going to be on this team long term, Isiah Kiner-Falefa just is not one of them. Clearly they like him, but are they willing to offer him another contract, which is what they would have to do? He is a free agent after this season. He's going to be 31 years old walking into free agency. I certainly think that he's going to be in MLB. I think that somebody's going to give him a contract. I just look at this roster. I look at what Isiah Kiner-Falefa has done in the past, and I'm thinking to myself, there are other younger players with more upside than IKF that I think Toronto is going to lean towards to giving them that roster spot. Fourth guy who I don't see returning to the Toronto Blue Jays is Ty France. Now, when they got this guy at the trade deadline, a lot of people were kind of just considering it to be a throw-in, and I was one of those people. I will oust myself. I was definitely one of those people, but what makes Ty France kind of interesting, and I guess as to why individuals might be able to argue that they will want to keep him in this offseason, is that since coming over to Toronto, Ty France has actually been a demon at the dish, folks. He's batting .338 and has an OPS of 852. He's 30 years old right now, and he's a hitter, so I don't really see a major decline falling off because of the age. So the question is, well, why would Toronto not want to keep this guy? Kind of similarly to why they may not want to hold on to Isiah Kiner-Falefa, right? It's just, when you're thinking about this roster, I mean, you got Vladdy there forever, right? Vladdy's your first baseman. He's your guy, and that is the primary position of Ty France. Like, he wants to play first base. He is good, defensively speaking, at first base. But, you know, you got Vlad there for time, literally for the entirety of the time that some of you will be Blue Jays fans. We're going to have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. operating at the first base bag. So then you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, Ty France, he's going to have to be the backup first baseman and then the DH if you want to get him into that lineup. But now you're owning that DH spot. And then what does that mean for George Springer, who is still under contract next year, and then Anthony Santander and various others? It just feels like, and similar argument to Isiah Kiner-Falefa, there are other names right now that they will be or should be more willing to give playing time to, and you'd have to re-sign Ty France, right? So you'd have to give him a contract. Maybe they give him a contract where, like, they can hold him in the minors and then bring him up if they need him to. I mean, that could be a possibility right there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they flirted with the idea of bringing Ty France back. However, all things considered, I mean, I would argue that there is a better than 50% chance he is not a Toronto Blue Jay in 2026. Final individual right here. This one is definitely going to ruffle some feathers, but before we get into it, if you're enjoying this video, please hit that like, smash that subscribe button, and if you have the option, hit the hype button as well. It really helps smaller creators like us grow, and we do truly appreciate it. You knew it was coming. Let's talk about Bo Bichette. I mean, the fact of the matter is, folks, I think that the Jays are going to make a significant offer and a significant attempt at re-signing Bo Bichette, because he is in the final year of his deal, but he's playing so good. Like, genuinely just so good at this point. .307 batting average, an OPS of 830, 91 RBIs. We're going to see Bo Bichette probably get over that 100 RBI total, which will be the second time, again, assuming that he does it, but that would be the second time in his career that he would ever have eclipsed that mark. He's leading the league in hits. There are just so many things to like about Bo Bichette. And that's the problem, because there are going to be just a plethora of suitors out there wanting to have Bo Bichette come onto their ball team. And when we look over at the upcoming shortstop free agent class, it is not deep, everybody. Take a look at these names right here. It goes Bo Bichette, Trevor Story, who's got an opt-out. He might not even opt out, but he could opt out, but clearly not the same caliber as Bo Bichette. Ha-Seong Kim, Orlando Arcia, Miguel Rojas, Isiah Kiner-Falefa, who we were literally just talking about out of the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't see them wanting to hold on to him. Bo Bichette is going to dominate this market. There's nobody that even comes close to Bo Bichette and his value and everything like that. Now, Spot Rack over here, their market value that they're projecting for him, I think is abysmally low. I do not agree with this at all. They're saying 8-year deal, $182 million. They're relating it to the Willy Adames contract that was signed this past offseason, and I think that that's a fair stepping stone, but I think that Bo, with the way that he's playing, is going to get significantly more than that. I was even talking with Keegan Matheson rather recently, and we were both discussing and saying that $25 million a year kind of feels like the floor at this point, and that the average annual value could even rise up and get into the $27, $28, $29 million a year. We're talking about somebody who is leading the league in hits, folks. I know that defensively speaking, he's not necessarily the guy, but that's also going to factor into all this valuations as well. Maybe somebody is okay with him not being the guy defensively, and maybe they can convince him into moving over to second base, kind of like what Marcus Semien did with the Texas Rangers after he had that crazy year with Toronto. Then he goes to Texas, gets paid a ton of money, and they move him over to second because they have Corey Seager. Something like that could definitely happen with Bo Bichette. Now, I'm not saying that he is not going to, there's no possibility of him being a Toronto Blue Jay, because I think that they're going to give it their best college try. Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro, they are going to go out there, they are going to shoot their best shot, as they should. This is a franchise guy for us right now. He's playing like a franchise guy. All that being said, though, I mean, there is a really good chance that when he hits free agency and some of those other teams start calling, maybe the Dodgers get on the phone. Maybe the Braves get on the phone, right? Like, there's going to be other teams out there that are going to offer him a lot. And for that reason alone, it's definitely not a guarantee that Bo Bichette is a Toronto Blue Jay long term. That's why we had to extend Vladdy, so we wouldn't be in this spot. I don't know if it's a greater than 50% chance he's not going to be a Toronto Blue Jay. I think that we're still the favorites to land him. But there's going to be a lot of vultures, a lot of sharks circling around on the Bo Bichette train, and it is going to be a tough watch. But folks, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, go Jays go.